to ask ex-council member Rich Ulmer if he would be so happy as to lead us, since he's here tonight.
Right hand over your heart, and remember that one nation under God is together phrases. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rich. All right. At this time, I would ask all of those in the audience to please silence their cell phones or turn them off if possible. The Villa Park City Council and staff welcome you to this meeting, and we encourage your participation. If you wish to speak on an item contained on the agenda, please approach the podium at the time the item is being considered. After I recognize you, state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. Speakers will be limited to a time period of 3 minutes in most cases. If you wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda, please do so during the time period listed for oral communications. At this time, I'd like to ask our city attorney to report on closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met on 2 matters in closed session, and there's no reportable action at this time.
Great, thank you. Okay, our first presentation tonight is an update from the Villa Park Community Services Foundation. Mr. Hunter.
Yes, I am Bob Hunter. I'm the chairman of the foundation board, and I just wanted to update you on all the things that have been going on with the foundation in the past month, and also to make a presentation on one of our grants. As most of you know, the parade is over. It was probably a very successful parade. I think probably one of the most successful that we've had. It certainly looked like one of the biggest, but Terry Elmendorf tells me it wasn't the biggest one, but it was certainly very nice. I want to thank Terry for having taking the responsibility to volunteer and organize that parade, and also Terry was instrumental in decorating the Wynn Memorial Tree in the center this month. We're also proud of the Grand Marshal of the parade, who is my vice chair at the foundation board. Then that's Doug Bender. Doug, I think, was honored because of all the great contribution that he made all through the year in directing volunteers and putting together all of the great events that we've had for our 50th anniversary celebration year. The Santa Tour also took place this month, and all of you participated, I think, and it was also very successful. I want to thank Jill and Dennis Kulai and Eric Sense, all of whom helped to make the tour a very special event for the children of the community, and to the mayor and his wife for hosting the Santa Lunch. Our monument sign at the corner of Lemon and Villa Park Road is virtually complete. There's one thing that has to go on there yet, and that is a plaque in memory of Bob Fautour. And that, I think, will be done. I've talked to Jared about that, and I've gotten a picture of it, and so that will soon be completed as well. I want to make a presentation this evening to the Villa Park High School instrumental music program, one of our grants, and so we have a representative, the vice president of the band boosters, to come forward, and Alexa Davis, if she would come forward, and we can make a little presentation of a really big check.
All right.
I hold one side?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, that's big, all right.
As you all know, the Villa Park band has helped us in many things over this year. They were instrumental in helping us at the gala in last February, and at the concert in the Villa Park that happened in August. And Chuck J. and the kids have just been wonderful for us all throughout the year. So we are just pleased to present them with this grant of $2,000. And there's a little check too.
I don't know what they would say if I brought this into Wells Fargo. I really would like to express my deepest thanks to this group for this grant. The Phillip Park Instrumental Music Program, as some of you may know, is funded mostly with donations. And the donations are not as good as they used to be several years ago because things are tough on many of our families. We rely on donations from the families, but that's not going as well as it used to. So this is an enormous help. Another thing is that the program is growing. We're actually, because of the feeding from the junior highs that is nurtured by Chuck J., our leader, our instrumental music leader, there's more kids in the program than ever before, and that means more uniforms. And I don't know if you've seen our marching uniforms, but they're like titanium, and and they cost that much. So, you know, these are all things that are just so important. Music is expensive, you know, everything about it, but it really pays off. Our group is routinely at the Nixon Museum. I don't know if many of you have ever been to an event where the band is played, but they're actually called the Nixon Band now because they're there so much. They were there at 9/11 and 11/11 this year. And, you know, lastly, we just love performing for the groups here. You know, they're going to be at the mall on the 23rd and the 24th, the string orchestra with gift wrapping fundraiser. The parents are going to be wrapping gifts. And then, you know, all the things you're talking about, the galas where we can insert a big group or a small group. And they love to do it. It's good for their education and it's good for the community. And I see that by this that you agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex.
If I could make a brief comment. My wife and I attended all the football games this year because my son played JV and backup varsity. And we both noted that the Villa Park Band stood out at every single event. I don't recall seeing one band that we considered of the same stature in appearance, size, you know, performance to some extent. That was a little harder to monitor, but in terms of size, appearance, it's a big, impressive band, and I didn't see anybody the entire season that seemed to be of that stature, and she made the same comment.
Well, you know, we're real proud of the marching band. You know, they look good, they act good, and a lot of that is because of Chuck J., because he has very high standards that he insists those kids live up to, and it's really great. It's every parent's dream to have your kid in that program, you know, if they're musically inclined, because it's I think maybe what you're seeing is those high standards.
It's big. It's a large band too. I don't recall having seen any that big.
It's not the biggest around though.
Okay.
But it acts like it. It seems like it when they play. So,
They're terrific. They are
They are
terrific.
very good.
I love them.
Yeah, they
I
do a
love
great
them.
job.
Well, we had we played the small jazz ensemble played at the dance department's holiday party.
I wish you would go to the microphone. Nobody's getting any
Oh,
of
you
this.
guys
I
can
bet.
hear me.
There is no microphone.
Well,
Yeah, there's actually a mic.
on the
I've never been accused of that.
on the well,
guys
there's a
can hear me, right?
microphone
No?
at the because our community needs to know how difficult it is to raise the funds that you need, and I think everybody enjoys the band, even when you're waking us up at 7 a.m. in the community with your morning practices. You know, it's how I know that school's about to start when I hear that. Oh, hey, school's
I've heard
gonna
lots
start
of
soon.
comments about that.
No, we love it.
Not all of them are positive, but
Oh well.
Good.
no. But what I was the little anecdote I was about to tell was that our small jazz ensemble was playing at the dance department's holiday party about a week ago, and one of the parents who knows me through dance because my daughter's in that comes up to me and she said, "Hey, they're really good."
Yeah.
You know, it was almost like she expected, just because they're high school kids, you know, they're not going to sound as good as professionals, but they do.
They are.
They're
They're
it's
very good.
wonderful. So if you ever hear we're playing, please just show up for the music. So, okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Okay, our next presentation is an update from the Friends of the Villa Park Library. Do we have anyone to speak? Mr. McDonald. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Bill McDonald, the incoming president of the Friends of the Library. So this is my first report to y'all in this capacity. And a number of things. I'll cover a few routine. The library is going to be closing at 5 p.m. on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. That's a change from our normal hours. Gives the staff a little time to get home, spend those evenings with their family. We are proceeding. We have had a change in our director of the race, the annual race, which will be held June 22nd this year. We have a new race director, Bill Sumner. He's the track coach at Corona Del Mar High. He has directed a number of races in Southern California. He's trained and so he's training some Olympic runners, and so far we're off to a good start. Although we're also going to be trying to do some things a little differently. One of our concerns is that while the race has been very successful, it has sort of drifted away from being a community event. And we're going to do our best to get more emphasis on community, more participation in the walk part as well as the race. Try to get everybody involved that we can and get it back to where it was, a true community event. Of course, the racers, the runners are welcome too, but we want that part as well. We have some other fundraising opportunities. We have one of our super salesmen here on the paper. Towels, I think we sold, about 40 of them at the boat parade, 40 packs of them. And that was wonderful. We've also had a number of private contributions come in recently. We have changed our meeting hour, but not our date. We are now meeting at 6:30 p.m. on the first Thursday of every month. We're doing this to try to get more younger people in our community involved with the Friends of the Library. We think those people are working. This will give them a chance to get to our meetings. The 5 o'clock worked great for those of us who are retired or semi-retired, but if you're working during the day, it didn't quite cut it. So we're trying to do that. We want to get more people involved, and everybody's welcome to come to the meeting. A project that's ongoing right now that I was just talking to Sharon, our librarian, has been extremely successful. We've had a program over there at the library. People signed up to read 50 books for the 50th anniversary of Villa Park. And we've had over 50 participants sign up for this. The year end will be the anniversary of the first meeting of the City Council of Villa Park, which I believe occurred in mid-January originally. At that point, we will draw 5 of the participants, names by random, and the Friends will present each of those 5 with a $50 check. It's just been an amazing program, and we're very proud of it. We are also, as a number of people have asked, do we still, with all the electronic books and what have you, do we still need public libraries? We're encouraging a dialogue on that for a whole bunch of reasons, some of which because what I do, it was brought home to me recently in a very dramatic fashion, why we still need a very strong book system and library. So we're going to be working on that too. If you have any questions, I'll be delighted to answer them.
Great. Any questions for Bill?
Thanks,
Bill. Thank you. All right, our next presentation is a monthly update from the Orange County Fire Authority. Will the battalion chief make his comments, please?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Steve Pardee. I'm a battalion chief with the Orange County Fire Authority, assigned here in Battalion 3, serving the city of Villa Park. And department-wide, we've had a few major events. I think since your last meeting, there was a fatality fire that occurred in a neighboring city. And as a result of that, there was a community-wide effort, or at least a local effort in that community, to get smoke alarms installed in many of the multifamily dwellings that didn't have smoke alarms. And the big message there is that I want to share is that it was a cooking fire that led to the death, and cooking has been identified as one of our top 5 causes of not only fires but injuries associated with fire. And we would remind everyone that everyone's smoke alarm has a life expectancy of around 10 years. So it's a good message to learn from that one. More specifically, here at dealing with Fire Station 23, you folks may or may not know that there's a monitoring system there at the station for methane, and that's in the process of being upgraded right now. There's some work going on with that to get it upgraded and back up to speed. I guess there was a few glitches with it recently, so that work's underway. And then more specifically, when it comes to responses in the community, over the past 30 days, Engine 23 responded on roughly 87 calls. Of those, 25 were actually in the city of Villa Park. 22 were in neighboring Orange, and that left the other 40 in the county unincorporated areas surrounding us. Of course, medical aids were the majority of those calls, adding up to about 66 of those calls. And the numbers break down very similarly, with 19 here in the city, 17 in Orange, 30 in the surrounding unincorporated areas. That leaves roughly 21 calls that were traffic collisions, vehicle fires, automatic alarms, and structure responses. There was a single structure fire that occurred within the city. It was a small loss fire on the evening of November 30th. It resulted in minor damage, and the most probable cause was determined to be electrical arcing, which leads me to remind everyone again, with the holiday season coming up, that it's a good time to take a look at not only your smoke alarm, but your decorations and the other things you might have that normally wouldn't be in use this time of year. It's colder weather as well. I would remind everyone to service your forced air units, your heating units, to keep your families as safe as possible, not only from fire hazard, but also from carbon monoxide as well. Also, Engine 23 had the pleasure and the opportunity to participate in the Santa Tour on the 8th, and I know they appreciated your hosting, and also in the boat parade on the 9th. With that, I'd take any questions anybody might have.
Yeah, great report. I just wanted to thank you guys for your participation in the Santa Tour and the boat parade. We definitely appreciate that. The one fatality you mentioned, that was in Tustin, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was, a tough call for the first responders because the victim was reported to be alive during the 911 call. It just stresses how important it is to have a plan for everybody in the community to get out of your house, leave the firefighting to the folks that show up to help you. And the most important aspect is to be able to escape and account for your family once you get out.
Yeah. Any questions for Fire Chief?
I have one. The grand jury issue over the paramedic type calls versus the fire calls. Was there ever any resolution, or is that still in evaluation? And if so, where is it going? Whatever happened on that?
Well, our response has been given to the grand jury, and it's interesting because as you look at the nation as a whole and the fire service in general, certainly the medical aid aspect of it takes a large portion of our resources, but there's all kinds of different deployment studies out there. We are currently undertaking a new deployment or a standards of coverage review to make sure that we are, in fact, covering the territory the way we should be. There's different deployment models being looked at, but currently our model, the way it is right now, we feel serves the community the best. I know that, again, we want to be as efficient as we possibly can. And this has been an evolution to get to where we are as far as our ALS or advanced life support capabilities being on the front line as much as it is currently. It would be very difficult under our current configuration to find a station that doesn't have advanced life support capabilities at that station. And that's one of the things we're striving to do is get that advanced life support on the front line to the residents as quickly as possible.
has there been any substantial change in the way those calls are handled since that grand jury?
For us, not specifically, no.
Just for anybody that's on the TV or is out here, knows what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Grand jury issued a report basically indicating some level of concern with regard to the fact that substantial, most of the fire resources in terms of the number of calls anywhere were going to medical, heart attacks, whatever, medical calls as opposed to fire. A lot of resources being put out there, and as I recall, asked that some attention be given and some response as to, how do we handle this? Does it make sense to continue in this fashion? And that was what I was asking about. And so you're still looking at it, but at present, not really any significant changes.
That's correct. Nothing significant at this point. You're still going to see the same responses in your communities that we've been responding as, the configuration. Again, with an emphasis on looking at how we're deploying and making sure that the fire chief believes in an optimal outcome model, and that we're keeping our resources as available as possible for the next call and not over committing resources on calls that don't need to be committed. One of the issues when you have ALS capable units everywhere, when you do have a fire, it can sometimes degrade your ability to respond to that second ALS call in the area. So we need to keep a good balance and a good mix of what we're able to do as far as response goes. At this point, we haven't made any significant changes, but that standards of coverage will also look at not just fire coverage, but EMS delivery and other methods that we might be able to streamline what we're doing and make us more efficient in the long run.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? And I know you have to run to a meeting, so we'll make it quick. Go ahead,
Well,
Deborah.
it's not a question, and we just talked about something serious, but, Santa coming to town is also very serious. And there was a point in time where there was concern that if the volunteer firefighters program went away, we would lose the opportunity of having, the fire truck come through and take Santa around town. And that hasn't gone away, and that means a lot to our community. I just wanted to say that and appreciate it. We've not missed a beat. You're still here, and quite frankly, I've been really so impressed with the professionalism of those firefighters and their ability to answer questions. I kind of use that as an opportunity to find out about equipment, capabilities, how things have changed, and the engineer that drove the engine there was nothing that I could ask him that he could not answer. And I really appreciated that because it's an opportunity, but the opportunity also for children to see that when a fireman comes, when a fire truck comes, that it's not something to run from, that it's something to be happy about, and don't run from the firemen. So I just, from a mother, hopefully one day grandmother perspective, that's a really good thing, and I just am thankful that we didn't lose that as part of the program in our community.
Thank you. Well, we're happy to provide that. We're glad to be able to do that for you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Finally, an update on law enforcement matters. Lieutenant Gunzel.
Thank you. We have had, I'll go over the crime stats real quick because it's only going to take a second. We've had two petty thefts in the month of November. So
Two what thefts? I'm sorry.
Petty.
two petty
Thank you.
thefts.
It's great.
So it was a good month for crime stats for Villa Park. I wanted to touch on the events of last Friday in Connecticut and also what our response has been. If you've had the opportunity to work with our SRO, Melanie Cooper, she's just a dynamic lady, great deputy. She spent most of Friday at both the high school and Hughes, or at the not Hughes Middle School, at the elementary schools, and basically just calming everyone's fears that, we're out there, she's out there. She does that generally every day, but spent a lot of time on Friday. There wasn't really anything that was, I talked to her today, there wasn't really anything out of the ordinary going on at the high school. Now they're on their winter break. So today she organized two different training sessions out at the high school and took all of our day shift deputies along with Mr. Pollock from the school district, and they went and opened up every door they could find in the high school and walked through just in case deputies had to respond, and have to kind of know the layout of the school. And it's very difficult with some of the classrooms, especially the science building. Its layout is until you get in there and walk around, you really wouldn't understand. If there's a shooting, an active shooter call, and you're responding to it, you have to know where you're going. So Melanie organized 2 of those because of the number of people we had and how we're spread out throughout the county. One in the morning time, one in the afternoon time. So haven't had a talk to her this afternoon, but I think that went pretty successful because I heard people going to that. Again, she does a fantastic job daily here, but that was over and above. No one asked her to do that. I also want to comment on the parade. I had several comments from people that was just fantastic job by everyone, and a shout out for my reserves and the explorers that came out, because those people, it's not unheard of to have that event filled up on the list within a couple days, and that's a lot of people. So that's my report. Not a lot of crime, thank God. So, any questions?
Just a quick comment for myself, Rob. Just wanted to thank you for the participation in the Santa Tour and the boat parade. What a showing, as usual.
My pleasure.
And I just can't tell you how much we appreciate all those reserves and just all your guys. You guys do a great job. It was a fun event, and we couldn't do it without you.
Right.
Thank you.
We'll start gearing up.
Any other comments for Rob?
Gearing up for the race next.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you so
Merry
much.
Christmas.
Okay, now we move to the time for oral communications on matters that are not otherwise appearing on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the City Council. If you wish to address the City Council, please step to the podium and state your name and address. Oral communications will be limited to 3 minutes for individual speakers. And
Good
it looks
evening.
like we have our first one already.
I'm Jim Warden, 10021 Sycamore Street, Villa Park. First, I'd like to welcome the returning council members and thank you for your service, as well as our new council members, and thank you for your future service. I'm going to bring up a subject. Let me briefly, does any of this look familiar to any council people?
I remember that.
Okay. A year ago, just let me bring the other council members to speed. In January 30th of this year, we had 52 people at a town hall meeting here in this room. At that section, we asked for an open session. However, mayor and then city manager decided that we would have 3x5 cards and there would be no responses from council, that we would submit questions to council members and that you would come back and give us responses. Well, in September, I believe, of this year, I came back to council meeting because there were no responses, nothing. Well, it's December now, and so we're coming up on a year. Does this council, and Mr. Mayor, you're the one that committed to respond to us, is there a commitment from you to take that list of questions that were submitted and give us a response? Are you going to do it? Or are you not going to do it? That's really the question.
Yes, we will do it.
When?
If I may interject, Mr. Mayor, the responses were prepared, and they've been on the website for 6 months now. Maybe it's our fault. We haven't put it out in the ENET. The salary plan was something on the previous city manager's agenda and on her plate. It is not on mine.
Let me make another suggestion. I'll contact the 52 some odd people that showed up here, and I'll put the word out to the loosely, let me call it, the Citizens for Conservative Governments in Villa Park. Let's have another council. Let's have another town hall meeting, and this time let us have an open town hall meeting instead of playing kindergarten with these 3.5x5 cards. How's that? Why don't you schedule that for January, 1 year from the date, and we'll go over all the questions that were submitted, and I'd like to hear the answer from the council on what they intend or tend not to do. It's only fair. If you want the 52 back, I'll have them here next meeting. But let's not go through that rigmarole. Just let's answer the question. Let's please come to, you guys serve it at the interest of the citizens of Villa Park. And I expect you guys to at least listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Jim, I will go ahead and research the questions and the answers, and at our next council meeting, I'll give a report, and I will consider what you said about a town hall meeting about
I'd
it.
like to see another town hall meeting because you'll get the 50 back.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Here comes a familiar face.
Feels funny being on this side. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is Rich Ulmer. I'm 18550 Martinique Court here in Villa Park. And I came tonight with three things on my mind. One, to welcome Greg and Deanna officially as new members to our council. I think we had 3 openings. Mr. Barnett was presumed to run for his seat that he assumed from Bob Fauteur's passing. But we stretched to our limits, I think, in terms of reaching out to the community, and I want to thank you two for stepping in. And I don't think the community knows you as well as I've come to know you, and Greg's case knew him before. And I would like the community to know that without Greg, we wouldn't have had the last 2 picnics. As head of the Rotary a couple of years ago, Greg stepped in when our picnic chairman was in need of help and replacement, actually. And Greg stepped in, and much to Andy's chagrin, he did it again this year, I think. They're so active in the community and so giving and so caring. And Deanna's very active in the schools, and her husband, Fred, is right by her side at many instances, mother of 3, and very involved in our community. And I just wanted to thank them on the public record for joining. Mr. Barnett's a special breed of cat, as I think everybody in Villa Park knows. It was his program for the Marines at Thanksgiving that brought him to our attention first. And Rick, we as a community want to thank you. The Marines were in the paper this morning in Tustin. On the flip side of what we do, we bring them into our community. And they're so thankful for that. And Rick has made the program a spectacular one involving a great percentage of our community and benefiting all those hardworking young men and women who defend our country. Mr. Reese, congratulations on your 3rd term as mayor. I'm sure somebody's been mayor 3 times before, but you know what I think because I said it at the last meeting of your time on council, and I'm proud to be associated with you. So thank you very much, everybody. I wanted to also ask Mayor and City Manager to consider the potential for, I have no idea who the committee assignments are this year, but a couple or 3 folks, Mr. Fauteur's passing and Mr. McAloney and myself, have left the financial area. And I had a thought over the past couple of weeks that for probably, let's see, double my previous salary while on council, which would be 2 times 0, I know Bill and I would be delighted to come in as members of the public, sit in any meetings that you have prior, no matter who's on there, and offer our thoughts and suggestions along the way. So I wanted to put that out as something that I don't know if the council can do that, or if the city can or is interested in doing it. But for what it's worth, we who have a lot of experience in that arena would be delighted to try to help. So welcome to the newcomers, and thank you very much for all you do for the city.
Great, thank you so much, Rich. I'm so happy to hear that yourself and Bill are willing to serve on that committee, Rich. And your talents would be well appreciated, as you know, and we definitely will look into that. That's great.
The committee meetings are subject to the Brown Act as well, so members of the public are welcome to come and participate, and I'll be happy to email you and let you know when those will be.
Yeah, that's great. Howdy, howdy.
Hi, my name is James Brown. I live at 18552 Mendocino Circle. Been in Villa Park since 1972. I'd like to support getting some of those answers because I don't think it's a complaint, but I've had a lot of people, bring that up. When are we going to get answers on those? So I think it'd be a good thing for the citizenship. And as far as the library, I'd like to say my wife reads 10 books a week out of that library. And
wow.
She don't use a pad. And I think most people my age, we don't get into that. We like to hold a book and read it. So keep that going. And I have one complaint, though. I love Western movies, and I go in there and you don't have any. All you have is some of those up-to-date wild movies. I'd like to get more cowboy movies in there. Yeah, especially Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott.
I didn't even know they had movies.
Well,
they
yeah.
really have movies?
Well, I bought something from the library that nobody has. They sell those movies every once in a while. These are VCRs. And sitting there was the entire library of Gunsmoke.
Wow.
And they wanted $50 for it, and I complained, and I got it for 20.
Oh, geez. That's pretty funny.
Well, hey, James Arness, Gunsmoke, by God, I love it. Anyway, as far as the sheriff and the police, I think they do a wonderful job. But one place you should have a car most of the time. I live right on the corner of Lemon and San Diego right here. And I'm telling you that about every third car or every second car runs that stop sign. And at night, and I don't know who it is, and it happens, he must be getting off work around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I can hear him from, and it sounds like it's a Ferrari or something, but he's coming from Catella, and it is roaring. And he runs through that stoplight, has to be 60 miles an hour, that stop sign. And I can hear him at Taft doing the same thing, and goes on up the hill. And it's a constant thing, almost 3-4 times a week. Yeah, and I'd like to see more tickets, because those people run that stop, and I got about 12 grandkids running around that big yard I got, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, James. All right. Earlier today, Terry Elmendorf sent me an email, and I'm going to mention some things, but since Terry came, I haven't mentioned them yet. Terry, would you like to come up? Okay. I'm happy to mention them as well.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you.
You made it in time.
I wasn't sure I was going to be here, but thank you, Mayor, for being my stand-in. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Terry Elmendorf, 10291 Camden Circle. I just wanted to say some thank yous for the boat parade. I was kind of happy with it. My mom saw it. I never realized that my mother had never been to a boat parade in all the 15 years I've been doing the boat parade. And she told me, she said she thought it was wonderful and just was so surprised at how everybody just had such a great time. And she said, it's so nice to know my daughter is part of such a nice thing. So that was really sweet. Made me feel good. I do want to thank some people, though. I want to thank Karen and Don Holthe for letting us use their beautiful red Cadillac and for driving our Grand Marshal through town. And I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for getting the segways and all that Segway people trained and on the road.
That wasn't me. That was Dan and April
neat.
Craig.
I thought
was
that
fun.
was pretty neat. And Sandy and Rich Merg for getting judges. Bev and Rich Ulmer for standing by the food and serving as hosts for me. Let's see. I want to thank the fire and the sheriffs. Thank you so much. They've already been thanked. You just did an awesome job, and I didn't have to do a thing except you are going to be there, give them the date, and they went with it. They just handled it all beautifully. And, of course, I want to thank city staff because they helped out a lot, too, and it's a wonderful team effort. And it's just, I think it's another thing that makes our city so special. So thank you all very much for your participation, and see you next year. Thank you.
Great. Terry, I just want to thank you as well. You've done this event for so many years. You do such a great job, Terry. The food was off the hook here in the council room. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it. I came back 2 or 3 times.
Good.
Just a great job. And the trophies were so special. You do such a neat job making those. And just the whole event, you just do an awesome job. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, Terry.
Well,
it's a fun event.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I love the city and the people in it, and it's fun to give back to them. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It was great. All right. Looks like we're done with oral communications. So we're going to move on to the consent calendar and consider it. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listed on the agenda. Any member of the City Council, staff, or public may request an item to be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items you'd like to have removed from the consent calendar?
3 and 5.
3 and 5, Deborah. Okay. Any others? All right. On the balance of them, do I have a motion to move the balance?
I'll move the balance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Jared?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Pauly.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasenelli.
Yes.
Councilman Mills. Yes. Mayor Reese.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, item 3, Deborah, please.
Those are the minutes from the November 13th meeting, and it actually just struck me, should the new council members that were not seated at that time abstain from voting on that particular item?
You're right. Actually, they should abstain from
That's
voting.
not why I pulled it, but then all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness, they shouldn't even be voting on that. I remember when I first came on that I had to abstain from the minutes of the meeting that I had not been on. But the reason I'm pulling it, there are two. On the front page, we had closed session that night at 6 p.m. And it says that closed session started at 6 p.m. We had myself, Almer, Barnett, and Reese were there, and Mr. McAloney, of course, was not there, and he wasn't planning on being there. But the fact of the matter is Mr. Barnett was not there until about 6:20, I think he showed up. He'd forgotten, I guess, that we had closed session. And I would also like to note that a week, maybe 2 weeks prior to that, Mr. Barnett had requested that our city attorney and staff pulled together a report on one of the items that we discussed in closed session. And I questioned whether that was necessary. He said, I'd like to have it. I'm like, oh, your call, fine. And so our city attorney and staff worked to prepare a report and got it out to everyone a couple of days prior to the closed session. And then Mr. Barnett did not even bother reading it. The reason I bring it up is that I think we should ask for whatever it is we think we need to do our job properly. But I think it is very bad form to have staff and certainly our city council, city attorney, jumping through hoops and doing busy work if we are not going to avail ourselves of that information. I just think it's bad form, and I hope it doesn't become a habit with any of us because our staff is very busy, just the way it is. So I wanted to point that out. I'd like correction on that. And then the last item, when you were talking about team reports, Ryan was reporting on the special CERT meeting. The minutes say that the special CERT meeting is January 22nd, but when he and I were speaking the day before, yesterday, he told me it was January 26th. So I was slightly confused. Either I misheard him yesterday or these minutes need to be corrected there as well.
We'll make that correction. I just noticed now that it was 2012. I never caught that. So the meeting.
Well, and it's not the 22nd either.
I'll get the right dates. I believe it's now in February, the 26th and then February 1st. The dates have been corrected.
Or February 2nd is what I wrote down.
Make that noted here in the report.
But it's an important training opportunity, and I don't want people to get confused about what dates those are. If there are no other comments, I'll be glad to move this item.
I do.
Maybe the date just changed, Deborah, from them to now, because this is old minutes, of course.
No.
No?
No.
It was always 26th?
He's talking about when this special program is going to be held. And the minutes say January 22nd.
And
But
it should have been 26th?
actually, January 26th,
February
2013,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
February
Got
2nd,
it.
2013. And I just want to be sure we have that
Yeah,
accurate
that's
in the
good.
minutes.
Okay. Rick, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do have a brief comment in light of Deborah's comments about my review of that item. I don't remember all the details of that, but I do remember that not only was that a busy time, but in addition, as I recall, that report came out rather late. And I believe I ended up reviewing it last minute. But I don't want to look like a silly fool that orders something and then just neglects it, doesn't look at it. That was not a standard packet item. That thing came out, as I recall, in a late email, and I think that was the problem I had getting to it, and I think I did review it rather late. But I just want to make it clear, I don't make requests for stuff and then I'll look at them. I review these books every week, and when I come in here, they're full of notes. I've reviewed them, and I do that every single time, so I don't want anyone to think that's listening to this that I'm derelict or don't pay attention to this material. I requested that because I wanted it and I wanted background, and I just requested 2 more reports from council in closed session, which I fully intend to look at and would love to have them in time so that we could do that. There was a report just came in and it showed up in the meeting. So, I would love to have this stuff in time so I can get it digested and look at it prior to the meeting. So I just want to clarify that.
Okay, thanks. All right, Deborah, did you say you'd make a motion on that, Deborah?
I'll move it with those 2 corrections.
Okay. Do we have a second?
It's going to have to be one of you guys.
Okay. Rick is seconding it. Okay, roll call, Jared?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Polly?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasenelli?
Abstain.
Yeah, abstain, yep.
Mayor Reese?
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, item 5, Deborah.
Item 5 is the update on status of the code enforcement issue on Roseanne Circle. I had a conversation with Jared about that today, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that and have you explain to us verbally what's going on with that and why we've suspended the public nuisance process at this time.
Yes, council members, at this time we've suspended the public nuisance process of this code enforcement case due to the fact that the significant building and safety violations have been, I wouldn't say abated, the property is secured. Most of the violations were the debris on the side of the house as well as the interior of the property remained unfinished as part of the construction process. The house is boarded up, which addresses our concerns on the inside, and the debris on the outside of the house has been removed. Currently, what exists is property maintenance standards. Property maintenance standards on staff's level are less significant than building and safety violations. So we'll be communicating with the bank further to achieve some type of compliance with them. There are several houses in the city where properties lack maintenance, and to signal this one out is quite unfair. So we have to treat them all equally.
Well, I had mentioned to you that I didn't feel like adequate progress had been made. You explained to me it's now bank-owned, and then you also explained to me about an administrative action that you would be able to take that had nothing to do with, that required any further action from council.
That is the $1,000 a day penalty for bank properties and foreclosures to maintain it. So as soon as we get a form letter from our city attorney, we want to make sure it's done legally. So if it does go to court later, we will prevail on that.
And I was actually very pleased when I asked these questions to find that you already had that in the works, and our city attorney is already looking at it and making sure that we have ourselves in order. And as soon as that's done, you'll be taking care of that administratively. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jared. Sure. I wanted to pull that because I do not feel that it's in the condition that it needs to be in the city of Villa Park. But apparently we have somebody else who wants to talk about it.
I'm Doug Reed on 18071 Roseanne Circle, who live next door to 18061. First thing is I wanted to say thanks for cleaning up the side yard and cleaning all that out. So first I wanted to make a comment on that. It appears that some action has been done. Obviously, with the two front windows out of the garage door, that's still not completely secured, but you can see some action is being done. To say that we're happy with the way it is and the way things are and things like that, we're not. It's still an eyesore. The weeds are still growing. It's still a mess. But it is better than it was. So I do want to recognize the fact that you guys did say you were going to get something cleaned up, and then it was done. So thank you. When I saw that it was suspended for public nuisance and things like that, it alarmed me. But I just hearing the comments here, it appears that there's going to be some action taken with the bank to have them address the issues, because it's something that needs it. Nobody lives there. It's the rats still running around, and it's still a mess. So it's still not something that anybody here would want to live next to. So, but again, thanks for what you've done so far. We're continuing to watch what's going on in our neighborhood and making sure that the city makes the bank live up to what they need to do and get the thing fixed up. So thank you very much, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
I'd like to make a request of staff that you bring back an update on the status next month as well.
Jared, I have a question. Is the house up for sale, or is it just vacant by the bank?
It's for sale.
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure. I know
it has a big for sale sign in the front yard. I just
if it's, I haven't driven by it in a couple days. I mean, it's nowhere near property
habitable
standards.
It's not habitable.
Whoever purchases the home will have quite the undertaking.
Some work to do.
They will have some work to do. It's nowhere near the condition we expect here in Villa Park. Grass needs to be cut. Weeds need to be.
Grass needs to grow.
Weeds need to be cut. Leaves need to be raked up.
Weeds need to be cut.
You're gonna water. Just one other additional comment. If they put it up for sale at such a high price, and it's just not conceivable that you could sell it for a high price. Is there some advantage, disadvantage for the bank in that manner? But so we were just curious about that, because if it's such an exorbitant price.
What is the listing price? Do you know?
I've heard $775 is what I heard.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no control the city has over the listing price on properties.
I know. I was just wondering if it was.
That's probably how much the bank is out, and they don't want to lose $775,000. Will it sell for that? I highly doubt it. It's going to require $100,000 plus.
So it just stays on the market for an extended period of time?
Stays on the market, or the bank will have to accept a lesser value. There's nothing we can do except keep it up into property conditions, and that's one thing that
but that's one of the points that if hearing the note that you're gonna put a notice up against the bank for the property violations at $1,000 a day. But if you put a price of the house waiting for that, the housing market's coming back. Do we see it for an extended period of a vacant home with really bad conditions?
Perhaps our city attorney can brief us on that. This is actually a result of an assembly bill that went through 2 or 3 years ago at the height of the foreclosure market, and that the whole idea behind this is to allow municipalities to impose that daily $1,000 to encourage them to get these things off their desks and move those properties. Perhaps you could brief on it.
Sure. Well, Councilmember Rapali just did a good job of explaining the basic idea, but I mean, in general, this happened all over the state, and so as a result, cities have the ability to impose these 1,000-day penalties. It's a pretty big motivating factor, because if that property sat on the market for a year and they're incurring a $1,000 a day penalty, they don't want to incur that level of liability, so they move pretty quickly. So I mean, it not only acts as a penalty to them, but it also acts as a catalyst to get things going pretty quickly. So often that's what you'll see. There's not anything, as Jared said, that we can do about the price of the property. That's a private matter that the city has no ability to interfere with. But this daily penalty is something that the city can use to sort of keep the property up to the level that the city expects.
But expediting the
right.
Penalty clause,
hoping to
expediting the payment of the penalties is going to hopefully get somebody motivated.
It certainly incentivizes banks to get going. Yeah.
Okay, well, again, I just wanted to say thanks and hope you expedite it faster, but.
Thank you.
Only do so much.
Mayor, could I be heard on this for a second?
Sure.
I gave this some deference this time, primarily because I saw the fact that the sides were cleaned up. I figured that would take care of the rats, and I saw the listing. That's really what got me, was the fact it was listed. But now, having heard that it's listed at a price that the neighbors seem to think is kind of ridiculous, it's not cleaned up. I mean, other than the side of the property, the house is apparently still a mess, broken windows. I looked inside, and I mean, it's not habitable. And I assured the neighbors there that I would stay on top of this as a council member. And frankly, and it's been quite a while. I don't know what it's going to take to get this letter out, but I'm a little embarrassed, frankly. And I probably should have been on this a little harder. I don't know what we need to do here, but I know we can't change the listing price. We can certainly keep the heat on the bank, and it kind of looks like we've pulled the heat off the bank and probably didn't have to. And I also don't know why we haven't already sent that letter out. It's been a month. So, it seems to me we need to get this going. I've looked at it. The neighbors are really upset. One neighbor told me he's moving. He's had it either way. He's tired of that, and he's out of there. So I don't think Villa Park residents ought to be having to deal with that. And I think we ought to stay on this thing. And I agree with Councilwoman Pauly that we need to bring it up again next month. But that's a month away again, and I'm not living next to that. So I think we should have that letter out this week.
Councilman Barnett, that's exactly what we discussed during the day today. They're working on it, and as soon as the city attorney is positive that he's on good legal ground, and of course, as an attorney yourself, you understand the necessity for that, they're going to send it out.
Great,
so
but it's been a month, and I'm not really sure what's happened during that month, and I'm just a little embarrassed that we're sitting here now. We've rescinded we've rescinded our are concerned.
No, they
over
just
the-
suspended the
over
public nuisance process.
Yeah, so that took that out. We
Do you
still
want-
haven't
it-
filed
that
the letter.
doesn't help them. That
and
doesn't help the bank sell the property if it's got that hanging on it.
The bank's not going to do anything. Trust me, I deal with these constantly. The bank's not going to do anything until it's got a bunch of pressure. Either the
Very well.
fine or the nuisance is the only thing that's going to trigger it. We've pulled the nuisance. We don't have the letter. I don't know what's going on. I'm not throwing any. I'm not trying to get after anybody, but I'm just trying
I
to
was
say that-
satisfied with staff's answers.
Would you mind
today,
if I
that they're
finish
there.
my statement? Excuse
I
me,
just
I
think that
defer to
they're-
you.
I think they're
Would you
just fine
please let
now.
me finish without interrupting? Okay, you've criticized me for my review of the report. Now you won't even let me finish my sentence. Have a little courtesy, please, okay? I would just like to see us stay on this. If we've pulled the nuisance, okay, we haven't put the letter out, and I know these banks. I deal with them constantly in my office. They're busy, and they're just not going to deal with it. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's what it's going to take. So I think we either ought to stay on the nuisance process, or we want to back off when we have the fine in place, because we don't want to clean up the nuisance. That I can understand. That's fine. But it's been a long time. I don't know why it would take that long to get a letter out, because I remember we spoke about it last time. We were talking about getting a letter out like forthwith, and unless I'm mistaken, I think the mayor said, let's get that out now, and here we are a month later, and council's still looking at it. So I just think we need to get on this. I don't mean to, I'm not picking at the
If I may,
staff.
during the transition process, the property owner still owned the actual property, not the bank. If we send that $1,000 a day letter to the property owner, it has no bearing. So we have to make sure the property transitioned to the bank. And I know that's one thing that Todd and Ryan and even the realtor in the bank have been working on. I can assure you, we are on top of it, and we are working with the realtor on a regular basis.
How about the nuisance proceeding? Is there any benefit in where are we at if we maintain that?
Nuisance proceeding allows the city to go into the property and to upgrade it. What we would have done is secured the property, which has been secured minus a couple windows on the garage. Next is to maintain the property up to our standards. We can hire Oak Forest, our landscaper, to go in on a weekly basis and cut the grass, water the lawns to get it to grow, but quite frankly, it economically doesn't make sense for us to do that. We will stay on top of the bank. Once that $1,000 a day penalty goes into effect, I can assure you the bank will be moving quickly.
The penalty, is that for a violation on the property?
Penalties are for property
Okay, there
maintenance
has to be a violation on that property. Not that the grass isn't growing and it looks awful and it's dirty and so on. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a violation of the municipal code, and the municipal code requires us to keep our properties in good standing. Snow weeds, no rubbish, paint chipping off the walls. There's a couple windows that are broken.
Sure.
There's a couple roof materials that have fallen off. So the property certainly violates the code and triggers that $1,000 a day penalty.
All right.
I'm just
well,
looking towards the future.
No, go ahead, Deanna, go ahead.
Well, I'm just looking towards the future just to make sure when we use this that we need to make sure we treat all of our residents and our homeowners the same. So a little caution when we do this, that the city attorney does give us good advice and that we follow it, because if we do it on one house.
Exactly. If we do it on, and that's
gotta be
where
careful.
we come across this situation so infrequently. We like to work with the property owner and give them the largest benefit of doubt.
Sure.
Now that it's transitioned to a realtor and a bank owned, we will take a different path. But we tried to work with the property owner to bring it up to speed. But you do make a good point. We have to treat everybody fairly.
if the bank has listed this, I have to assume they've got title to it. So doesn't that?
We'll confirm that and get the letter.
Okay, I just really
Has
like
to
to
be
see that
confirmed
go out.
before they send it. If
Or
you were
it's a
so
private
concerned, you would have
investor.
pulled this item yourself or questioned it earlier in the day, Mr. Barnett, Mayor Pro Tem Barnett.
Yes, I told you that the sale had deterred my conduct on a little bit, and I'm glad you pulled it and brought it to light. I did have an inquiry note on here, and I'm glad you pulled it, and we do need to get attention to it.
I think it has attention
Definitely.
now.
Greg?
Hey, just one question. Are we satisfied that there's no more administrative delays that can happen? Because I know that Ryan had a kind of a rough road. It was a lot of little things that came in when he was just coming here.
Yeah, now we have a great, no more administrative delays regarding code enforcement. We understand council's position on that, and we'll
Yeah,
be.
just want to make sure there was just no gotchas coming.
We
forward.
found
Thank
a
you.
new service online as well that brings us directly to contacts at the banks and at realtor offices, where before we've had to track it down and
Great. It's a good
We're-
discovery.
we're in a good
then.
spot now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
James Brown again. Before I moved to Villa Park, I lived in Woodland Hills, And we had the same incident up there. And the city went in, mowed the lawn, fixed the property, did everything, and billed the bank. And I think that's a legal deal that you can do, and council certainly knows, but I'm telling you that they took that home and cleaned it up, put windows in, and the bank finally did something. And if you don't do that, the bank's just going to wait until they can make their money. And one other comment I'd like to make. I love this city council, and it's good to have little arguments and stuff like that. But I'll tell you a little joke about that. In a monastery up in North Dakota, there was a bunch of monks, and they were only allowed to speak once a year. And this one monk, it was his turn to speak. He got up and he says, "I got a complaint. I'm tired of all that soup we get all day and every day." And he sat down, and that was it. Next year, another monk got up and he says, "I confirm that that soup is terrible and we should stop serving." And he sits down. Another year goes by, and then the head dog of the monastery got up and he said, "If all this bitching doesn't stop, we're going to stop having these meetings." That's all I would say.
Interesting. All right. On item 5, Deborah, did you make a motion on that?
As long as the main thing that I'm requesting is that we stay on top of making sure that the attorney gets the letter out as soon as he's
Fast track.
satisfied,
We'll stay on top.
and that you will
Definitely
bring a
fast track.
report back next month.
Next meeting.
And then I'll move it.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
Second.
Rick seconds. Okay.
It's
Roll
just
call, please.
receiving files.
Receive and file. Okay, great. Excellent. Well, it sounds like we're all interested to fast track this. We want you to have a good street and happy neighbors and all those good things, so we're on it. Thank you for coming. All right. Let's see. It looks like we're on item 12. We now move to mayor and council member matters. Our first item is to consider appointments of the city council committees and outside boards for 2013. Or for 2013. There's no plural to that. Jared, did you pass out?
I did. I believe it was sitting at the dais. Was
Okay.
it not?
Does everyone have committee recommendations? I haven't seen it up here.
Okay. I do apologize. It was supposed to be distributed during our closed session, so let me get copies right now.
Okay. Looks like Ryan's on it.
Thank you.
Big time.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. As we all know, everyone gives input on what committees they would like to be on, and we try to distribute this, fairly into what people's strengths are. So this is a culmination of input received. I know, Deborah, in your particular case, you had written that you didn't want committees this year,
That's
which
correct.
is an unusual request. However, you'll notice that there are some on here that you are down for. As you know, when we have a council of 5 and all these committees, we all have to pitch in. Otherwise, some of us would be doing more things than other of us. So I'm hoping you'd reconsider that, or if we vote on it and you get a particular item, of course, it's your choice whether or not you want to contribute to that item or not. If you don't contribute and you get put on that item, then we'll have to fill in the gaps. But I don't know what else to say other than that. So I guess I would open this up. Jared, do you have a particular format, or just open it up for comments, or?
Open it up for comments.
Okay.
Consideration.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on it or understand it?
I'd just like to make a comment.
Okay.
That, Deborah, you've been on the council a long time, and I would really enjoy your participation on the committees, and I think that the public would enjoy your participation on any of these committees that you'd like. And I would not like to see you withdraw from any of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other comments?
I echo that sentiment as well.
Okay. That sounds like a second. Kind of. All right. Well, if there's no other comments, then I guess we'll vote on it.
I'm not accepting any committee
Okay.
assignments this year.
Okay.
None.
Well, the council still can vote on it, Deborah, and even if you just abstain, they still can vote on it. And if you decide not to do it after the fact, then we'll have to make a decision.
I'm telling you, I've made my decision already, and that's what that is exactly what I intend to do. I'm tired of being jerked around with these committee assignments with your complicity. You've been involved in it from the very beginning. I was on the Public Utilities Committee from the very first time I was put on this council because everybody thought it was a throwaway committee, and I decided I would just take whatever you guys gave me and I would do my very best job with it. I went to every single Serrano Water District Board meeting, with the exception of one, over a 5-year period of time. I endeavored to improve our relationship between the city and the water board and the working relationship so that they weren't ripping up our streets right after we'd paved them, so that we had some coordination, so that they felt like they could come in and get their permits like they were supposed to be doing and hadn't been. I worked very, very hard in that endeavor. And then last year, at Rich Almer's insistence, you had me removed from that committee for no reason other than punishment and vindictiveness.
Oh, Deborah,
and you placed Rich Almer on that committee, and he showed up to one meeting in a whole year. I don't make stipends for doing it. I did it because I was bound and determined to take whatever assignments you gave me and still do my very best with it. And yet you were very disrespectful, not only of the people who elected me, and there are many, you were disrespectful of the effort that I made in spite of the nastiness that I was having to endure. With regard to city schools, it was my idea to establish a Villa Park City Schools Advisory Committee. I talked about it during my very first campaign and managed to get on it, managed to get it established through a resolution of the council, and we began good work, establishing a relationship where we were specifically targeting the city schools within our city, our streets, our law enforcement, our parent teachers, bringing staff here from OUSD and working together to make improvements. And after I had things up and running, once again as a form of punishment, I was taken off of it. I am no longer going to fight those fights. What I'm going to do is just continue doing this job, paying attention, working with staff, asking questions beforehand, reading the material that I request, but I am not going to continue playing these games. It was an absolute act of disrespect to completely pass me over again for Mayor Pro Tem and put someone in who came in 5th in a 5-man race when he ran against me in 2010. Why? So I'm not going to fight this kind of fight again and be punished for trying hard. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
I'm not taking any committee assignments, but I will continue doing the best job I can here.
Okay. First off, Deborah, definitely it's not vindictive, just so you know that. And by the way, Mr. Ulmer was not on Public Utilities.
Oh, yes, he was.
Well, here's our assignments
last year. It was Bill
year.
and Rich Ulmer, and he showed up at one meeting.
Well,
when
yeah,
Bill and
Matt
I were
Roney
on,
was
we
the
would
chair.
go together.
Yeah, okay.
We would go together. When Community Development Committee meets, both council members attend. When any of the committees meet, both council members attend.
Yeah.
Is that not true?
In most cases.
Okay.
All right, well,
With the exception, I will say, with the exception of those regional boards like Fire Authority, of course, only the primary director attends.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I could jump in, just to clarify for the council, the appointments to committees are done by a majority vote of the council. If Councilmember Polly does not wish to participate in a committee, the suggestions on the sheet before you can be changed, obviously. However, if she is appointed to a committee, she's on that committee, your decision then would be to not participate in the committee by not showing up to the meetings, but you would actually be named to the committee. That's
understand.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's understood.
Okay.
I'm suggesting you fill them with someone else.
Okay. Well, I guess my hopes, Deborah, is that you'd have a change of heart in the next month or something, and if you don't, we'll deal with it, and if you do, then so be it. So I think that's the way I'd like to proceed. So I guess if there's no other comments, I'd like to get a motion for the committees.
I move.
Okay, Deanna?
Second.
Greg seconds. All right, Jared, roll call, please.
Just one more comment. Last year, I think everyone may have been familiar with the FPPC rulings related to
Remember
this.
vividly.
Just to be clear, the FPPC has sort of changed the rules again, so everyone can participate in the vote tonight. We will follow the rules that the FPPC has set forth, so if there are committees with stipends, we will post that on the city's website as required.
Excellent. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jared, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilwoman Fasenelli.
Yes.
Councilman Mills.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pollak.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnett.
Yes.
Mayor Reese.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, it looks like next we, do we have a report, Jared, from the Villa Park team on any other items?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can provide the report right now, or I believe we skipped over the individual council members.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, it's below it. You're right, we did. Okay, now it is time to hear from individual council members of informational items. I guess we will start with you, Deborah. I'm assuming, well, actually, why don't we start with Greg, even though he probably doesn't have much.
Well, I don't have much yet, yes.
Greg does have, he can report on when he stood up there and held his hand up. What was that like, Greg? We know we went to that,
Well,
right?
and I was on TV as well, yes.
There you go.
Thank you, I appreciate that. No, I'm just happy to be here and happy to serve with you all here on the council.
Excellent.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to have you, Greg.
Thank you.
Great. Deborah?
Yes, I've appreciated your kindness, Greg. I truly have. The only thing I'm going to report on is the Orange City Schools meeting from November 26th. And that's not the smaller Villa Park City Schools Advisory Committee meeting, which just has the schools from Villa Park, but that is the broader, larger committee, which sometimes hampers our ability to get jobs done locally. But it has representation from the City of Orange, their mayor, usually their mayor pro tem, their city manager, representation from the City of Anaheim, Villa Park, Orange Unified School District, and quite a number of people come together to work out items of mutual concern. This meeting I bring up, we happen to host the November 26th meeting here in the city of Villa Park, which meant that I had the pleasure of chairing it. And most unusually, we had about 50 people of the community, primarily from around the Peralta site development. And I'm sure most everyone in the city of Villa Park is aware of the fact that OUSD reversed itself right after the election and has decided that they are going to proceed with working with a developer to turn that site, which they consider to be surplus property, over to a developer, with the potential of developing it into some 380 maybe, high-density, low-income housing, although they say it's going to be luxury apartments. I know if I were going to purchase a luxury apartment, I'd do it right behind the Mall of Orange. But that is why all of the residents from Peralta had come out, and they wanted to make sure their presence was known, that they were staying on top of it. On behalf of the city of Villa Park, and I felt very confident in doing this, I made it perfectly clear that we were not happy about it because we understand how it would impact the city of Villa Park, the streets that we already can barely deal with, since 85% of the students that attend the schools inside our borders live in the city of Orange. All of those students in that property would be poured into our city. I also made it perfectly clear that we wanted to be involved in any EIR process, and the residents in Peralta were very clear about their displeasure. It looked to me like the city of Orange was, of course, we only had, Tita Smith, who's the new mayor, Carolyn's outgoing, basically saying that, what's envisioned may not be what comes out of it, but the bottom line for this council and for the residents is that these things are very long processes. I will be off this council in 2 years, and this process will still probably be going on. So it's imperative that we as a community, as a city, stay on top of it and pay attention to it and make sure that we are making our input known. It's a long-term thing that could have significant consequences to our city. So I'm reporting on it for that reason. I'm very much in contact with that community group in Peralta. I've attended and spoken actually at a couple of their meetings, and am on board with what they're doing and trying to guide them through the political process and making sure that they're organized. And there are several people who are doing the same thing. One of the things that I've been pushing very hard in both the Villa Park City Schools Advisory Committee and the Orange Schools Committee is the idea of the school safety and the city of Villa Park needing to understand what the school sites, individual school sites' plans are in the event of emergency. I've been pushing this for approximately 2 months. And was actually blown off the first month, which was always, when I get blown off, of course, I'm thrilled to death. And so we brought it back, and I was so thankful that Pete Moriarty showed up at both those meetings. And then Mike Pollock came from OUSD, and they were able to get together with one another because there's the potential of us needing to use our CERT people in a way that we've never used them before. And we need to know what their plans are because it's still going to be our streets where all of those parents are going to come driving in hell-bent on getting their child, no matter what's going on. So Pete and Pete Moriarty, who's heading up our CERT and has done an amazing job, has already met with Mike. We got a plan. I've looked at the copy of the plan that they provided to our city staff, and they have offered to give our new council and staff a tour, and I think we need to take them up on it so that we know what's going on with that situation. Could have never in a million years guessed that, last Friday something as horrific as the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy would have occurred. Couldn't have. But, there were people in that community that took kids in off the street, just neighbors. So I think it's imperative for us, if we've got all these children in this neighborhood, that we are prepared and that we know, we fully understand their plan. Surely our sheriff's department would descend on this city in a situation like that, and we would leave that in their hands. But we can't always rely on that. There could be an emergency where resources are spread out, and we're going to have to rely on ourselves, and we need to know what we're doing. So I'm thankful that Pete's on top of it. Pete's working with Mike, that we've established this relationship with OUSD on this level. We've never had that before. Had some chats with our Lieutenant, Chief of Police Services today about a couple of other issues that we need to address, and I will be addressing those before the end of the year, before the new committees are in place. But I think it's important that we stay on top of that as well. I had a great time on the Santa Tour. I truly did. It was wonderful to see those kids' faces and to get them up to Santa. Loved the boat parade. I love being in lead Hummer with a microphone, telling everybody in the city Merry Christmas and God bless you. That's my last message to the community. Merry Christmas and God bless you.
Thank you, Deborah. Let's see. On November 28th, there was a Sanitation Board of Directors meeting. Orange County Sanitation received an Award of Excellence from the National Water Research Institute for their secondary treatment program. This was a 10-year project which got completed about a month and a half ago, which I reported on before. $554 million investment. And what it gets us is clean water going in that ocean. The law is 30 ppm parts per million, and they're down to 10 ppm. In the past, they were sending 50% to a very weak secondary treatment and 50% straight to the ocean. So this is just such a huge improvement in the quality of our oceans and just the quality of Orange County. So very, very proud of that. Other than the city event items, it was kind of a slow month. Santa Parade, great. Boat, or Santa Tour, I should say, was great. And, of course, the boat parade was a blast. The Segway thing was so fun. Like I mentioned, my friends Dan and April Craig, they're the ones that thought it up. I think it's going to grow, and next year we're going to have more. I know some of the council members did the Segway thing as well, and boy, I got to say, it was just so fun. If you've never done it before, do it. It's funner than it looks. That's all I have to report on. Rick?
You know, I have this a little bit off the norm, I guess, but I received an email this afternoon, another one of the last minute before I get here items, expressing concern over the water rates. There was a report came out, it may have been MWD. I perused it, but I did not honestly have a chance to go through it because I got so late. And expressing concerns about the water rates and pointing out that our Serrano water rates are double the cost of neighboring, such as Orange water rates. There were projections in there. I did take a quick look at a chart indicating a household and monthly use of about 22,500 gallons, and it was close to $40, I think, for Orange rates, and it was close to $80 for our rates. Now, I have some ideas why that may be the case, assuming it's true. But I think it would be interesting. I'm sure that's going to get disseminated, and it is a significant issue. I think it would be nice, assuming Serrano gets word of this, whether they're watching or maybe Jared could pass it on, it might be nice to have somebody from Serrano show up at a meeting in the near future and give us an explanation, take a look at that report, and tell us why we're there. We had that LAFCO deal come out some years back saying it wasn't efficient, that it ought to be merged into Orange. I, being someone that doesn't like, I kind of like some control and having the local municipality there. Wasn't real crazy about that, even though I didn't have a lot of personal knowledge of it. And now I know that there's been improvements made. I know we did have some substantial increases, and I know there's been discussion that we probably won't be looking at increases for a while these other municipalities go up. But it would be nice to have somebody from Serrano come address that, because I know that's going to end up getting passed around and there's going to be concern. And that's a big difference. I think it would be nice to have somebody show up and give us an explanation, why are we dealing with that? And as city council, I think that's such a big disparity and a significant issue raised. And I think that came, at least in some manner, through Fassbender's. And I believe he ran for that, office. Yeah. So he should have some knowledge of that. And he was affiliated, as I recall, with the email that I just received this afternoon. So I think that would be something that would be interesting to look at and understand if that's true, and if it is, just why it's so much higher, and and where is that going to pencil out, and is there an issue here? I think that's a significant issue for us to consider. Other than that, I love the...
I think that's a great idea. Jared, could you ask them maybe to come give us a little presentation on water rates? I know, just a quick comment on the City of Orange's water, they have been undercharging their residents, I know, and they did have a recent increase, and they're still losing money on it. So I know the City of Orange has issues with that. That's just a quick comment.
One of the issues in the report was pointed out that our cost of water was significantly lower, and yet we had this price differential. I think I probably have some ideas or understanding as to why maybe some of this is occurring, but I certainly don't, purport to understand why it's double when our water cost is apparently lower. I think it would be something that probably should be, looked at, and have them come in and give us an explanation. Go ahead.
You have a comment,
something.
I was just going to say that Orange has been subsidizing their water rates with property taxes, which is something that does not happen here. And we, in fact, Serrano Water District sells water to the City of Orange at a reduced rate to the City of Orange, but at a slight profit for the city of, for Serrano Water District, I should say. So I think what you're talking about, I know what you're talking about because I saw that has to do with the operating overhead issue that they feel they need to be addressed. We all think it's wonderful when it's rainy because we all turn off our irrigation system. That means they're not getting any of the money that they projected that they were going to get. And that's part of the problem. Is they have to plant.
They've been building too.
They have. Well, and they're almost finished with that, or they should be finished in about 2 months if they're still on track. But they have to plan for way out in the future. They always make sure that they have 2 years worth of water to sustain everyone in this community. That's a big job that they do for us. And the idea of going under the City of Orange or going under Irvine Ranch Water District is most distasteful. It should be distasteful to everyone in this community because water is gold in the desert, which is where we live, right? We live in a desert essentially. And if Serrano Water District should go under, it's what gives our city its autonomy. We have something that is very rare and precious in an above-ground water storage facility at Irvine Lake. So we should do everything we can to work with and help our water district. That's how I see that situation.
I think giving them an opportunity to come in
Yeah,
here and
that's good.
explain
They've
that
explained it
would
before.
help them, because I know that email is going to end up disseminated because of the way it reads, because I looked at it.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's a good idea.
It's an invitation. They can do what they want.
Mayor, one comment about that is that I think those couple of reports that you have to be very careful. I think you've all been pointing that out. You have to have not only apples to apples, but the kind of apples.
Exactly.
And there's a big
Good
issue
point.
there. And also the reserve factor, which most of the cities in this county do not have at all. We have it. And it's a big issue. And they're all going to see a big jump in their rates going forward, from my understanding, what I've heard.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so impressed with the men that are on our board of directors. Instead of kicking the can down the road like a lot of elected officials did in the local area, they dealt with it in a proactive fashion. So they are actually in great shape, whereas others are going to be struggling to keep up. So I'm actually impressed with how they deal.
That was the biggest factor that I alluded to, that I felt I had some understanding of that, but it doesn't change my comment, which is that was a rather fiery email, if you will. I suspect it's going to get disseminated and get attention, and the way it's written and the resources that are cited, a number of cities, not just Orange, it does raise significant issues. Water's a big price item, it's going up, and I thought it would be probably a good idea for Serrano maybe to address that and let the people understand why that's the case, because I think that thing's going to get disseminated.
Good idea.
It's already been disseminated.
Okay, anything else, Rick?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Okay. Deanna, I know you don't have much, I'm sure, but you might have a little comment or something?
Well, it was the first time that I got to participate, certainly in the parade, which was nice. I actually had a Segway myself, which is a little dangerous, and it's really, really fun. So I'll let everyone know that. I got positive feedback by the neighborhood, positive feedback from the residents when we did the Santa tour. I participated with that also and sat on the truck the whole time. It's nice to have a city that we could do that, start at 8 o'clock in the morning and end at 4:30. And the joy on the children's faces and the adults was just beautiful. That's really all I can say when it comes to that. I have not seen a city to have the public come out and welcome you into their home and say thank you for stopping by. And it's beautiful. As far as city matters go, I've spent quite a bit of time with Jared over the last couple of weeks getting to know what goes on here in City Hall. I've asked a lot of questions. He's clarified a lot of questions. I have a lot of ideas that he has been forthcoming with me, areas that maybe need some improvement, that hopefully in the next couple of months will come out in an agenda item, and see what we can do to improve some items or just review some items. That's it.
Great, thank you, Deanna. All right, finally, we'll now go to the Villa Park team if they have any other comments, things of interest. A lot of finger pointing over there. You go. No, you go. You go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Wanted to bring to council's attention, once again, we received our award from the government finance officers for our budget. So our budget received the award. This is the third year in a row. So it's good for our city. It's good. A lot more information that is given based on statistics in the city and how our finances filter and provide all the benefits that we do provide to our city. And there's a lot of stringent requirements that we have to add. But staff did a great job, and we got the award again. So thought you'd be happy to hear.
That's wonderful.
You bet.
Kudos goes out to Michelle on that one.
Great job, Michelle.
She works rather hard at it. And
Oh,
3
yeah.
years ago was the first time we submitted for the award, and this is our third consecutive year receiving it.
Wonderful.
That is awesome. Great job. Cool. Anything else, Garrett? Jennifer?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just wanted to bring to your attention and to the public's attention, although it was on the consent calendar tonight, the item wasn't pulled, and we did make a commitment to our community and to the council to bring back a report each month on our progress on the moratorium and our study of the town center. I won't go into the depths of the report this evening, but I just did want to make note for the community that we have made progress not only on our analysis, but we have a draft plan for our outreach component that will be starting to kick off in January.
And we'll be posting that through the eNet and also on the city's website. And if folks have any specific questions that they'd like to talk to me about, I'll be available at any point in time. So with that, I would just like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year as well.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Really, I don't have much to bring up, but I want to wish the council members and the residents of Villa Park Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year.
That's reciprocal.
Thank you, Agron.
A couple things from my end. Beginning January 1st and ending December 31st, 2018, Governor Brown signed into law Senate Bill 1186. This bill imposes a state fee of $1 on every applicant for a business license or for a renewal. The purpose is to, bear with me, increase disability access and compliance with construction-related accessibility requirements and to develop educational resources for businesses in order to facilitate compliance. Essentially, it's another dollar. It's a dollar fee that we're going to be collecting. So business licenses will now be $81. We have modified our forms to reflect this, and we'll pass this through to the state as soon as we start collecting it January 1st. Lastly, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. In observance of the holidays, City Hall will be closed to the public beginning next week, and we'll reopen after New Year. Planning, engineering, and building will be available by appointment. Now, generally, it's been slow during this time, and everybody's had the time off to spend with their families during the holiday. That is all we have. Again, it's been a great year. We look forward to 2013.
Great, thank you, Jared. Okay, with that, we will adjourn our meeting. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2013 at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers. I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And it looks like Mr. Brown has us a leaving comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I would like to, James Brown again, in regards to the emergency fund, all the money's been put back, right? That was taken out?
Yes.
And that amount is at what level? $500,000?
Michelle?
I believe it's 859,000.
Okay.
That's undesignated general fund reserves, is it?
Well, what I'm bringing it up for is that, everybody talks about the big 8 happening, big earthquake or whatever, maybe a big 7 or a 6 if it hits right here.
Yep.
800,000 wouldn't fix one street or a block. I think the city council and Jared, who does a magnificent job, by the way, everybody should get together and find out how to funnel as much funds in that without hurting the city. And because this city will be down and out if we have it. The infrastructure will be gone, and the state is not going to give us that much because it's going to happen all over. So I would like to request that somehow we look at finding out what, if something drastically does happen, what devastation takes place in the city and what it would cost to get it back up and running. And that's an important factor. And I'll donate a few bucks to it if it'll help. And one other comment. I've had a lot of...
We'll remember that. Let me write that one down.
But not as a tax. But not as a tax.
No tax.
If they want to give it,
no tax.
My wife
Send the
calls
bucket around
Mr.
all the residents.
Obama's White House 4 times a day. She gets all her news. And I expect some black suits to show up at my house.
Oh, geez.
She calls every day. And I'd like to make the final comment about Jared. I've had a lot of conversation with that young man, and I'm impressed with him. I'm sorry he's not my son. He's done a damn good job here, and I think he's going to do better. And if he don't, we'll kick him around a little.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Brown.
And one thing to highlight, he makes a good point. If we lose the infrastructure, 50-year-old infrastructure here, who knows how much it's going to cost.
Oh, yeah.
But since 2006, 2007, we've doubled our reserves here. Council's made it a priority, and anywhere we can save and add to it, I know you guys have.
Yeah. Great. Okay, with that, we'll adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thanks.